Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 2. Wow, we've already made it to Episode 2. I am shocked. No, I'm kidding. It's just like me just doing me. I'm sitting in my living room today. Thank God no one is home. My mom just left, so I was like, okay, perfect. Like, I get the entire house to myself, entire house to just sit here. And today Zaydan is not here because he would kill me if he found out that I was holding the mic. But I don't know how to explain it, but I just prefer and I find it way better to hold a mic. And I had a bigger one, but the thing is where I'm taping it to how far I am from my actual phone is too far for the cable. And I did have a longer cable, but me being me, I probably don't know where I put it. And I actually think that is the 100% case. So yeah. So here we are. And this is episode 2. Wow, what a day. You're probably watching and be like, yo, Sans, where's the matcha you usually drink? Well, today I was late. I woke up quite late and I had to rush to work. So I didn't even have time to make the matcha, nor did I have time to stop and get it from my favorite matcha place. Well, it's not really a matcha place, it's a coffee shop, but I only get a matcha from there. And sometimes if I'm feeling a little bit cool and it's too late to drink matcha now, maybe let's go get a, what's it called? The tea. I forgot what it was called. Karak? Karak tea? Oh my God, it's so good. I think it's karak tea. I think karak is the Saudi word for it. Hibiscus iced tea. Oh my God. If you ever feel like you need a refreshment during the day and you're in Jeddah, go to Locals and actually get the hibiscus iced tea. Wow. And then make sure that when you put the lemon, kind of squeeze it with your straw. Oh my God. It tastes so much better. So yeah, so I actually ran to work, arrived to work, looked at my colleague and was like, let's make our morning coffee. And I do have matcha at work, the powder and the spoon and the whisk. I have it already, but I didn't have the milk that I liked. So I was like, whatever, we're going to settle for an espresso. And God literally told me through that espresso, he's like, yeah, I think we're done with an espresso. I think you need to stick to matcha because this did not go well with my stomach all day. Even my colleague was complaining about it. So I think it's just a kind of a universal thing that maybe it's time to just 100% switch to matcha. But I am wearing green. I'm wearing this really, I want to call it matcha green. You know, when you mix it with coconut milk, it becomes quite greenish. So this is what I'm wearing. And today I wanted to focus on basically life after uni. A friend of mine actually commented in my last post. He was like, oh, just talk life after uni. And I was like, oh my God, CJ, that's such a great idea because right now, that's where I am in my life. Well, I'm in so many different places right now in my life. I would definitely say that me right after uni is kind of postponed. It's not quite I'm right after uni. But, when he said that, it brought up a lot of thoughts. And especially right now, because I'm what am I doing with my life? Am I going to do a master's? Am I going to continue with the company that I'm working with right now, which by the way, I love. And, I'm thinking about it and he brought up a super valid point. And I was like, let's talk about it because I feel there are a lot of things and misconceptions that when you're in university, you think to yourself and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to leave university and I'm going to be the king of the world. You really do leave with such a great positive vibe. The last day of uni, the day of graduation, you're like, this is it. This is amazing. I did it. I'm here. I made it. How amazing of me. Pat yourself on the back. That's how I felt. I arrived to graduation and I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe that I'm here. And oh my God, it was a surreal moment. I remember when I had first started uni, back in 2017, I was like, oh, graduation seems so far. Me, Sandy's going to make it to grad. Almost didn't, by the way. We'll talk about that in a second, but almost didn't. And I actually ended up doing it. So alhamdulillah, thanks to my hard work and everyone who's there to support me, you guys really helped me out. And my brain. Thanks, brain. But so before we talk about what it is about after uni, how do we feel, I'm just going to go a little bit back and give you a little bit of backstory about Sandy Kabara at university. So I mentioned before that I attended the École Hôtelière de Lausanne, and guys, it was the most amazing experience of my entire life. I sometimes just look back and I just look at myself and I'm like, man, you had fun. Like, it was a great time. Like, even if like there were deadlines and things to do regarding school, and you'd mess up, or I would fail a test, or I would redo something, and like in all like retrospect, I really loved university. I keep calling it uni, but like someone's gonna probably come and be like, it's a school. Well, guess what? I have a bachelor in hospitality, international hospitality business management. So technically I did get a bachelor. So no, not even technically, like I got one. Like, call us, like let's be frank, like we got it. And so originally I wanted the United States. Like I was like I put it in my brain that I'm going to the US. And I even arrived to the States. I attended community college because all the universities that I wanted to attend kind of gave me like a, hey, you can come, like we love you, but not yet. Like, can you come next year? So, but in order to come next year, go to community college. And at the time I hadn't applied to EHL. And my dad was like, well, this is the best opportunity you got. And mind you, I wasn't the most studious kid in high school. Like tests were like not my thing. I preferred to like just hang out. Like, I'm not saying that I didn't study. I did, but like my brain would just like wipe out things, which was not very fun, but whatever. I arrived to America and I was there. And like within like a first month and a half, I was like, nah, like this isn't for me. Not even that it was about community college. I just didn't feel like this was the place like for Sandy, and I just didn't feel it. So one day on the way to community college, at this point in time, I didn't have a car yet because I was waiting for my license. So I was taking an Uber to to community college, sorry, not university. And I got in the back seat, and the guy who was driving, he was very nice. He was just quiet. And I called École Hôtelière de Lausanne that morning. I was like, okay, it's the afternoon. I'm going to give them a call and like ask, how can I reapply? Because I had originally applied, but I didn't really care because I was like, oh, like I even applied to the wrong program because I was not like set in stone to go. So I get on the call with the administrative office, and it was the same lady who had helped me before. And like I put her on speakerphone. I don't know why I put her on speakerphone, but I just put her on speakerphone. And like I kind of let her like, I wouldn't say the word, like I let her like, I don't want to say the word bash, but she did tell me how I like applied wrong and how I could have done better, and like why didn't she like properly apply? And I kind of just let it pass. And the Uber driver started being invested. Like I could see him from the the rear view mirror. He was like, yeah, keep going, like, mm-hmm. And then finally at the end, she was like, okay, you can reapply for our Feb 2021 class. So it would have started in February, and at this point, it's like October. Even the Uber driver was like, yes. And I was like so happy that this happened. I applied, I got in, alhamdulillah, like all is that. And I even debated for months to go or not. And then on February 6, 2017, I like even removed my enrollment from EHL. I was like, nah, I'm going to stay in the States and I'm going to go to the university I want here. 2 days later, it was like the worst 2 days. I was feeling like super anxious, and I applied. I recalled the school, and I was like, please let me back in there. Like, your spot is still valid. You can come. Applied, packed my stuff, went straight back home to Saudi, packed a little bit more stuff, bought like the shoes that I needed for the school. Like that's like a vivid memory because you needed specific shoes for the first semester. That's a topic for another day. Got on the plane to Switzerland, was really nervous, and I was just like, what am I gonna expect? Like I'm so nervous. The second I sat on my bed in my dorm room, I felt this instant relief, like I had done like the most amazing decision of my life. And I still feel this way to this day. Like I look back and I go like, oh my God. Oh, thank God we did it. Thank God we left. So if we like move forward, it was the best experience, and the school was a great place as well. Like they taught me so much about like who Sandy is, like, and even like in like study vibe Sandy, they taught me so much. And I ended up graduating in Feb of 2022. 5 years. Yeah. Like that was, that's also a story for another time. It's called the magic combo. Only people from EHL would understand that, but we're going to move forward. So like that was me. I even did an internship in real estate when I was there. I did it in Marbella at Engel and Vokers. And the only reason I did that was because 2 months before like starting to apply for internships, I watched Selling Sunsets and I was like, that's me. And even some of my friends were like, oh my God, I could totally see you being that. And I was like, oh my goodness, you're right. That should be me. So I just applied, got in, and it was great. So, during my time at university and how easy it was to get my second internship, like, and the way that I think all universities kind of sell it, in a good way, obviously. I was under the impression, as Sandy, as myself, like, oh, I'm going to get a job right away when I graduate. Oh, I'm going to right away get an internship. And honestly, that was not the case. I first of all waited too long to start applying, and then when it was time to apply, I was already in such a limbo in my brain. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. Like, how do I felt so lost, and I felt that my comfort zone had just been taken away from me. And it was like a really weird feeling. Like, I graduated, the day of graduation was Feb 16, and the Feb 17, I kid you not, like, I felt this overwhelming like sensation of what the hell is going to happen to my life. Like, okay, I'm going to stay in Lausanne for a bit and apply, but what's happening? I felt frustrated. I felt lost. I didn't know what was coming. Like, who am I? Who is Sandy? Like, all of the things that I was at uni kind of just came to an end, to the point where like even my like on Word, on Grammarly, and all these stuff, like, they were canceled. It was almost like a switch. Like, oh, diploma handed to me in my hands at 8 p.m. last night. Oh, by 12 a.m. the next day, khalas, canceled. And I just felt so, not hopeless, I just felt like really lost. And in that moment, I was like, oh gosh, I wish I could have applied to other things way before. Like, why did I wait till February 17 to be like, oh, it's time to like find a job? To the point, like, I even went to uni like at the end of February just to like go and see some friends. And I was sitting at university and I was like, like this place is not for me anymore. Like, khalas, like I'm not even meant to be here. Where am I supposed to be? I felt in such limbo. I felt so lost. I didn't know what to do with my life. And like, you just kind of sit there and applying. I don't know if you guys have applied to jobs before. I feel like everyone has, like, whoever's going to watch this probably. But like, it is like, for me, it was super anxious. It was not a fun time. And I just didn't know where to start. Like, when you go to a grocery store, there's so many different options and you're like, I want it all. But then like, what do you need? Like, personally for me, when it comes to shopping, like as Sandy, like I like to go to a boutique. There are like 4 or 5 options and they're like the best options. And that's all I want. And I choose between the 5. Now, when there's options that are like 1,000 different options, first of all, I was like, where do I start? What do I accept? What do I not accept? Oh, where do I go? And this was me. And then like March rolled around and I saw my parents and they're like, oh, like, how's your job search going? I was like, oh, it's on its way. And so my dad was like, oh, like, well, if you're not going to find, you're going to come back to Saudi and we're going to look from here. And that wasn't fun, because like my whole like idea, like the second that I left high school, because I did high school in Saudi Arabia, I was like, oh, I'm not coming back. Like, in my head, I had believed this, but I think what I forgot to do is I believed it, but I forgot to plan for it. Like now looking back, I left with such regret. I was like, I wish that like in December or even in November of 2021, I had just like gotten my shit together and like started applying to anything. And I made the mistake of only applying to Switzerland because I was so in love with the country. I was like obsessed with it. And I was like, I want to stay here. And with the passport that I hold, I was like a little bit more tough to stay there. So I should apply to the States, but hey, like whatever, it happened. And I just want to focus like on the feeling of frustration and like feeling so in limbo. I mean, if you're feeling that way, it's like, don't feel bad. Like this is, I think, part of life. You go from like an extreme comfort zone that you've built for yourself. Like, it's not your home. It's not like your high school house, like where you lived with your parents, like where it was kind of like, made for you. But then you go to university and you kind of build something from scratch for yourself. And because you're so in love with that time that you forget to plan for the future, not because you're not interested in what's happening in the future. You're just so happy. And I'm talking about myself. I don't know if you guys relate to this, but like I was so happy of being in university that like really the idea of February 17, 2022, which is the day after graduation, in my head, it wasn't non-existent. So that was really hard to accept. And I had to keep reminding myself throughout the application process that like, hey, things are coming. And it takes you just being so into your network that you have to apply and talk and ask and see and research. And, I don't think I was mentally ready for that. I think I was still in the mindset of like, I'm almost in a way mourning my university life. But, if I look back, it was a time to chill. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, I wish I had like applied earlier. I think I came to the realization that why it bothered me so much was because there was like no clear milestone. Like I never, like at uni, like every semester there's the end of semester exams, and then, there's like this project, like next week you have like deadlines are made for you. And in a way you have milestones to achieve. You have this to do, you have an internship to complete, you have to complete or you can't graduate. And your sole purpose literally at university for me, like let's talk about Sandy, was like, get your grades and you're fine. So I think I came to a harsh reality on February 17 that I'm like, oh, yeah, like that was just a little part of your life. Now you're like you're in the real world. You're an adult. It is overrated to be an adult. I wish I could go back to uni and just be uni Sandy. Being an adult is hard. Like I literally have to now, like I'm not going to be like, oh, it's so hard. No. I feel like it's just hard because like now you're expected from like internally and from your parents or from your mentors or whoever you look up to, like you're expected to start getting your things together and like, oh, I'm going to apply here, I'm going to apply there, I'm going to go to this job, like a 5-year plan comes. And honestly, it just gives me a lot of anxiety to think about it. And I'm someone who can get quite anxious. And I'm just like, oh, like, this is fun. Like I should apply to this. And then you don't know what you want to do. Oh my goodness. The amount of things that like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, I knew I wanted this marketing, but then I would read the job description. I'd be like, ugh. And then I would apply to this job on LinkedIn. I'd be like, oh, like, did they even see me? I actually have like a friend of mine who's like, her side hustle is to help people find jobs. And I think that's like amazing because I feel like a lot of people are lost and they just need a little bit of like direction, because I think with most unis, you graduate, you've paid your dues, you've left, and they're like, oh, you're no longer our responsibility anymore. It's like almost being like kicked out of the nest. Like, here you go, bye. And I think when you're in that mindset of like, oh, I'm here, I'm relaxing, I wished like I was kind of prepared for the kick, for the out of the nest kick. And sometimes like I really look back and I was like, ugh, like I think I wish someone had just kind of like told me in November of 2021 and like looked at me dead in the eye and was like, apply, at least have one job lined up for after as a safety net. Like you don't want to just leave on the beginning of March and have no plan. And I think that's something that I should have done. Like I should have planned. And why bring this up today in this podcast? I don't know why, but I feel like it just sounds like sad and depressing, but it's really not. Like, honestly, in a way, I think it was important for my characteristics and who I am as a person today, like that I had that limbo lost time, because it made me realize that, hey, like, not that I'm on my own, but you need your own back. You need to have your back. You need to have your own back, if that's how you say it. Like I needed to sit there and remind myself that, hey, Sans, like this is your life and you need to take charge. It's not like uni where there's going to be a deadline and someone's behind you and like making sure that you do this specific deadline or you study or your grades will come out. There's nothing like that anymore in this, especially in this limbo phase, because you're on your own. Like maybe, yeah, you might have your mom and dad be like, oh, like, where's the job? Like, where's the job? But at the end, like, okay, they can only say so much. They're not giving you a report card that determines if you graduate and you get a specific piece of paper that says you graduated. And So it's all about you, and it's all about like how you can push yourself, like your internal motivation. How can you take that internal motivation and make it extrinsic? And I struggled a lot with that, like after uni. And I really remember thinking that like, you just got to get up. You got to get up, and you need to realize what's important to you and what's not important to you. And this is like maybe a great time, your limbo time, to think of your values and what are you searching for. Maybe create an outline of a 5-year plan. I'm not necessarily saying that I created like an outline, and I created, because plans change. But if I could go back in my limbo stage, and I would definitely have taken it more seriously, and I would have definitely, put myself out there more. I was just so nervous and so anxious, and like life as an adult is not everything that is meant like what it's cut out to be. And I just wish someone had told me, it's like, hey, like it's not as beautiful as uni life. It could be. I mean, not everybody feels this way, but it's just how I feel and how I felt at that time. But now, like, alhamdulillah, I have like a great job and I'm really happy with it. And I think it's like a great door opener to the rest of my career, especially like the people that I work with. Everyone's super nice and super kind. And I'm very fortunate to like be working around people like that. And it just makes me want to push myself harder, because I just don't want to stay in like a comfortable place for the rest of my life. I want to find a challenge and get on that challenge. And, and the limbo, by the way, it taught me that next time when I have my master's, we're not going to wait till the diploma is in your hand to find a job. We're going to look before. We're going to try to look before. We're going to make an effort to look before, because in a way it was a mistake from my side. It was something that I wish I had taken care of more, but we're out of it. We're out of the limbo. And it took a long time to accept this get out of limbo stage. And I think to myself, and I'm like, oh my God, like, what could I have done? Honestly, it's the best outcome. I actually believe in this a lot. Like, whatever happened is the best outcome in every single situation that you will ever be in. Even if you think it's bad, I think it's the best out of like maybe the 10 scenarios that could have came out of. That movie, Anywhere, Everywhere, But Here. I think that's what it's called. Anywhere, Everywhere, All at Once. And it's like, what I really liked about it, it's like shows that in every part of your life there are like the fork. You could have chosen decision A, or you could chose decision B, and then you decided to take decision A, and there is still outside around you, there is still a line that took decision B, and you'll never know what it was like. So as much as I go like, oh, like my life would have been so different, honestly, like you will never know. I will never know until it's, too late. But I do trust that whatever happened is the best for my scenario in life, what has happened. So I'm happy with it. Getting happy. I mean, like now who I work for, I don't think would have come up if I had taken like line B. So in a way I'm like, oh, like maybe I was meant to be here. I was meant to work for this place. I was meant to sit here on my couch and like talk to my podcast people. I don't even know what I want to call you guys, but like I feel like there's nothing to call you just yet. But that's where I stand. And I start to think to myself as well, like, oh, especially in the limbo phase, like when I used to see people who graduated and used to come and visit the university a lot, I used to be like, ugh, like why are you here? Like, what are you doing? Like, can you not let go? And now I look back and I literally apologize for those thoughts, because letting go is hard. Like, especially somewhere that built you, who nurtured you, who took care of you, who built you, and like it's time to say goodbye. Like, oh, like that was it. And like that was my send off. Like, I wish I had a better send off. And in a way, like it's fine. Like things happen for a reason. And yeah, like I just look back in my limbo phase, and not even like, I'm going to say something like I regret having more fun in my limbo phase, because like now that I think about it, I was like, oh, like going out that one night wouldn't have changed if you applied to that job or not. Like, why didn't you just do that? And I also lived with someone in my limbo phase who was still at uni, and like I would be in a nice way, not in a way where I'm like, oh, like like I want that and I want that taken away from you. I was just watching her go to uni all the time and I was like, oh my God, like I wish that was still me. And but I guess it wasn't, and it's totally fine. And now we're here, alhamdulillah, like we're happy, we're good, we're chilling, and we're back in Saudi, and as my dad says, we're on the climb. So, you know, being an adult is fun. You go to like your 9 to 5. It's almost like you go to school, but with like no homework. You know, like I'll like leave to work around 9, 10, and I'll finish around 4 or 5. I try to leave at like 4:30 because of traffic, and I just don't want to be in like a traffic zone. So I'm like, oh, like let's get up and leave now. So I'll leave. And if I don't want to answer an email, like if something's not urgent, like if something's not due tomorrow, obviously I'm going to do it. But like if I don't answer, khalas, like it's over. Like the problems start at 9 a.m. the next day. Like, and it's cool. Like it almost makes me realize like how you have like, I'm going to quote the show Severance on Apple TV. I think what it did was actually very true. Like you have your innie life and your outie life. Like, so who you are inside the company is not really who you are outside the company. And like when you're outside, you don't want to discuss what was inside. When you're inside, like you're just trying to get your work done so you can go back to the outside. And sometimes I feel that way at work, but except that my laptop follows me. So if I see it on my phone, I'm like, oh, an email, like, oh, maybe I should just check that. And I think what comes with adulthood is like realizations of like your freedom. And alhamdulillah, like my schedule at work is quite flexible and I can like, you know, do things outside of work, but it's more of like an internal motivation. Like you have to push yourself to go to the gym. You have to push yourself to, you know, like go see your friends. And if you don't do that, because everyone is so like in different locations and everyone's kind of on their own, like if you don't push yourself, you'll always stay at home. And I think that's something that, you know, uni Sandy and adult Sandy are like trying to remember. Like you have to chase people to like hang out and to be part of their lives and to make sure that you're in the circle, just so you can make new friends. You know, and like university, kind of, if you just didn't leave the uni and you finished your studies and you came and you sat in the food court and like you saw one of your friends and you saw another one of your friends, you'd sit together, and then from there you guys would like sit with 4 more people, and then khalas, you'd all decide like let's go for dinner or let's go out. And it was quite easy. And I think that shift between like it's just almost being in front of you to, oh, I have to go outside the house and find it, and I have to go outside my comfort zone. I think that's a big transition for a lot of people, myself included. And there was one thing that stuck in my head that my aunt told my mom once. And my aunt told my mom, she's like, Lara, people are not going to go after you to hang out. You have to go after them to hang out. And I always keep that in the back of my head. If I'm sitting at home and doing nothing for like 2 days and I'm like, okay, like get up, like ask someone to hang out. Like you're not going to make friends sitting on your sofa. In Jeddah, the way I started making friends, I started going to like a workout class, and I started going like religiously, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, as much as I could. And I started making friends there. And then slowly those friends, I found out they were going to the beach. And then from there, like those friends like are now I see them on the weekend, on the weekday. And it's all about building. It's all about finding who you are, but outside your comfort zone. Like this is real life, and this is probably how life is going to go. And university is like a utopia. Well, here it's reality, and it's fine. Like it's a different type of challenge. Maybe uni, your challenge was like studying. Here, maybe the challenge is your social life, because every job can be done from 9 to 5. So I think about that a lot. And I think about like, oh, how do friendships like get made if you're not like in their face. And as much as I love my colleagues at work, like maybe we're not meant to hang out after work, we're just meant to be besties at work, which is also totally fine. And there are friends that you can't like really work with, but you want to see them after. So it's a little bit both of that. And so, you know, in your limbo phase, I think that's one of the big questions, like, oh, like who am I after uni? How am I going to make friends? How am I going to like grow as a person? And I think it's just about you putting yourself out there, and like whether it's with a job or with a friend or like with an activity, like you got to push yourself. And I think that's what we need to remind ourselves, like the push, like just push, like say yes, push yourself and say yes. Like, oh, like there's this extracurricular thing happening at work that a lot of people are going to socialize, you know what, just say yes. Like, yeah, fine, maybe you not feel like going because like it's not your comfort zone, but like go, like be you, go see what it's about. So you don't go home and be like, I regret. Like, just push yourself, say yes. You're gonna go through a lot of quantity before you get into your quantity, regardless of your job, your friends, your anything, like really. So push through the quantity to get to the quality. And I think that's the way to do it. And adulthood could be fun. I mean, it is fun, like the freedom that I have over the summer and the freedom that I have during the year, and all of that makes me feel good. But also one thing that like really helps my mindset a lot is that I'm financially independent. Like any trip that I do, any travel or anything that like I'm wearing now, like I want to say 92% me. Like, let's say it's 92% myself. And having that like liberation and financial freedom is so refreshing, because I don't have to look to anybody to be like, hi, can I do this? It's like, no, Sandy, you get to do this. And I think that's like something that we all have to look at as like the most positive thing, that I can take care of myself. And okay, fine, I'm saying this while I'm sitting in my mother's living room, but in my defense, I just sit in her living room. Like, I'm just at home, and I'm taking more advantage of the ability that I can travel with the money that I make. Obviously, I'm saving. But that's, for me, that's adulthood. It's like just trying to navigate who Sandy is in the real world. And, it's a journey. It's going to be a journey. I don't think it started right after uni. I think it started before. And it's probably going to continue for the rest of my life. And I'm cool with that. Like we should find out. And we should see who we are as a person. And that's why I wanted to start like this whole podcast. Like I think that it like matches my personality. It's because I like to talk. I want to be like talking, and I definitely see this part as my future. And I was like, it's time to make it happen. So I finally got the internal motivation that I pushed to being extrinsic, and I got I don't even know what it's called. What is it? It's the thing that you put your phone on. It's going to come to me. And like, I messaged someone to be like my editor, and I was like, okay, like come over, like let's film this, like let's get this started. And it took a while to get there, because adult me was so obsessed with like my job and like my whole corporate career. And then I was like, wait a minute, like we still need to live for myself. So let's start this podcast. Like, let's start it there. And if you're ever feeling lost, just take a deep breath. All will be okay. And you just got to go for it. You got to go for things that you want. They might not be great at the beginning, God, Lord knows, but like everything will eventually get better. And especially will get better if you put your first foot forward and you try and you give it all that you have. You give passion, you are there, you are present. And I think if you're just doing all those things, you're present, you're there, you're having fun, you're trying to look at the positive, you're looking at the glass half full rather than the glass half empty. As long as you're doing that, I don't think anything in your way will be bad. Like, try to take a situation and make it better. And if you're not happy in it, like fix it. Like see what you can do to fix it. I'm not saying like, oh, and I'm not trying to be Kim Kardashian, be like, get yourself up and work. No. Obviously, sometimes you're just not ready to fix it. But when you become ready to fix a situation, see what you can do. Like small steps. Like, no one says you have to leap. Maybe just like, see, like, okay, maybe I could do this instead. Like, okay, like I want to go to the gym with the girls because like that way we can go and have like a good time working out, and then we can go have a coffee. So like, you're like, okay, so maybe I'll just bring my workout clothes to my corporate job. So that way I don't go home, get lazy, sit and do nothing. I'll go straight to hang out with them. So just like some fun ways that I was thinking about. But I hope today wasn't very deep, but it was just something that I feel like. And yeah, adulting is like really not that fun. Like I have to adult now, but we're here and we're having a great time. So I hope I didn't bore you. No, we're here. We're having a great time. Thank you guys for listening. Oh, by the way, last episode I was saying that the statistic for like having bear attacks was 664,000. No. It's 664 0.0 attacks within 15 years. So to my last point, I got you. Anyways, I'm really looking forward to seeing where this podcast goes. I do have like 2 or 3 interviews lined up, and I'm actually so excited to like finally do them, because like one of them I'm like, actually all 3 of them I'm super excited about for like completely different reasons. But yeah, so if there's like another topic that we can like talk and hang out and like discuss, and like, please, I would love to hear it. Like, this is the beach. Well, not physically right now, but this is the beach where you can have a cool ass conversation and not feel that you're going to go home and cry about it. You're just like, oh, it's the beach. We're having a conversation. We're chilling. We're doing our thing. Bye, guys.